Hello. My name is MTA3306. I'm here to make another tutorial with the Luminator IPS tutorial EXE program that explains how to use the Luminator integrated programming software for Luminator destination signs. I will pick up where I left off about 3 or 4 years ago. This is mainly something I'm doing for some friends who need to learn how to use the Luminator software, but this can apply to anyone else who's trying to learn and use the software for their own purposes. First thing to do, when you start the tutorials, start the EXE thing. I believe this is a Luminator certified product, so you can press yes for this. It shouldn't inject, malware, bloatware, etc. into your computer. Continue. Alright, whatever. Does a stupid little animation. Enter whatever name you want. It does not matter. Just this is what the name that populates or that appears when you complete an exercise. Let's start the demo. You don't have to do this. It's just a recommendation. I found it kind of intuitive. In the sense you can just kind of just press random things and figure it out on your own. So, I believe I did. Let's do exercise 4. Oh yeah, so there's a function within the IPS software, that allows you to create a printout of all the messages that you made. And it shows you what they look like on each respective display if you ever have to show someone what your work is. It will not display any animations or any other special features you implement, just a static image of what the text says, and if there's multiple pages, then it says, or it shows what each exposure says on each page. Yeah, so printer report to document display characteristics for each sign. This, for instance, refers to the hardware name, the hardware address, the DIP address or sign address. You'll see probably when you complete the exercise what information it shows you. Yeah, it shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. Like I said, this should be very simple. So click on tools. This will be a lot different if you were actually in the thing, but then you go here to message listing. I've been doing this a bit differently, but for the sake of the exercise, we'll do it as they suggest. But what I normally do is I change this to, well, on Windows 10, there's an option to do Microsoft Print to PDF. I just make a PDF, and then if I have to print it afterwards, then do that. A software this old gets a bit harder to configure with external devices, and anything you set up in Windows 10 should appear here already for anyone who wants to set up a printer and stuff. But yeah, anyway, for the sake of the exercise, you do not need to select a different printer. This is where, yeah, you set up your printer settings. Alright, next. The configuration will show you your sign set, so it'll show you, your original equipment manufacturer, whatever that means. It'll show you your control unit or operator display keyboard, or ODK for short. The front sign, which is a 16 by 112 Luminator Max 3000, I think. It's a flip dot sign with 4 panels of 28 dots. A rear sign that's 10 dots by 23 dots, 10 dots high by 23 dots wide. And a side one that's 7 dots high by 90 dots wide. So click configuration. The listing will show you in the PDF which codes you picked, and then it shows you the proofs rather. Yeah, you could do multiple sign sets if you wanted to, but realistically there should be only just one, unless you're like some programmer for some big name agency and you're doing 4 billion thousand all in the same project, which shout out to you if you do, but that's just impractical. If you want to make it clean, you can do that, but if you don't already know, A is for error messages and general like programming needs. B is for public relations messages or PR. C is your general messages. So like the buttons or the and numbers you hit for dest A and dest B. Class D, I believe, is for fancy interior displays. What appears on those? Class. Okay, I was gonna say I don't know if there's a class E, but all right, whatever. All right, I'm not doing that. So, from here you can tell the software what code you want to appear in your proof document. Let's see what this exercise says, because I know before when I did it, you could just leave this blank and it would print everything. Not every time. So what I would do is I would enter 1 here and then 9,999 or whatever your last entry is, and that'll print everything. From the first error message to the last, I don't know, in this instance, fancy display message. Yeah, it's as the note says. It will just print whatever you tell it to. The limitation of the software. Yeah, it can be important. At this very moment, it's March 5th, 2025. I want to say printing is kind of antiquated, but it can be useful, I guess. So that's exercise 4. Exercise 5 is a good one, because I'm sure you want to get a little bit fancy with your displays. In this scenario, you will place a graphic in an existing message. We will assume the project has already been opened and the edit message listing window is open with the appropriate message class selected. Yeah, this shouldn't take long. Like, this won't even take 5 minutes. Once you get used to it, it takes maybe 2 minutes because you gotta like put the thing in the display. And you gotta put it where you want. So yeah, we'll click the preview the show button. Change the template. I forget if I explained it in the last video because, like I said, I did it maybe 4 years ago now. But templates change how you have the text appear on the signs itself. So I guess, yeah, this one that's selected now, you have a root number or root letter with 2 lines of text. You switch to this one on the bottom, you probably have a root number, a single line of text with a graphic. It'll probably be a dummy graphic. Click apply to apply your template so they can reorganize the text. I guess go to Windows to show your sign set, assuming it isn't already open. At least I always keep mine open just so I don't have to like switch back and forth all the time. It'll bring all your sign sets to the front. This is route C. It's a shuttle. I guess in this case it just reorients the text so that you can fit a graphic in. I guess we don't really need this one. You can't really fit graphics on here anyway. I mean, I have some that are this small, but it's hard. So yeah, when you want to open graphics, you right-click, click graphics. So, all right, it's not gonna let me scroll down. Anyway, so you have a list of all your graphics here in this drop-down window that I believe comes from this menu. You can add to it at any time. You can make your own graphics up to, I would say there are limitations, like the program will break, I'll tell you that. But it is kind of unlimited, like the dimensions of your graphic. I would just say design your graphic to fit your signs, because if it's too big for like, say it's perfect for a front horizon sign, like a 16 by 161, but it's too small for your side one, which is like 8 by 96, then it's gonna be halfway visible. So in this case, we're picking one that's, well, it's named 7 bus because it's 7 pixels high, but this one was designed to fit in the side sign here. Alright, this is so annoying. Alright, so you can readjust it. What I usually do is I right click, and there's a drop-down menu that shows up, you can center it by horizontally or vertically. I believe I usually pick vertically, and as long as it's the same height as this sign here, this side one, it should center with no issues. Like I said, if it's bigger or if it's not the right dimensions, good luck, you're SOL. But in any case, as long as you do all that correctly, you can move on to the next thing and it won't give you any errors. Like I said, I don't even know if that took 5 minutes. It probably took 5 minutes because I just talked so much. Be sure to lock the sign preview or the message, because otherwise it will not save your work. It'll delete it, and especially if the friggin' thing crashes, then, you know, if you've been spending hours creating these friggin' graphics, then you've lost all of that time. Yeah, we hope you're becoming more comfortable and confident with IPS. You don't have to memorize all this information right now. I've been doing this for about 8 years. I want to say it gets to be muscle memory, especially if you have to do it all the friggin' time as part of your job. But even as like a hobby for your own personal buzz, it's not. It gets easier, but you know, you just gotta practice. Da 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 da. All right, cool. Let's go to exercise 7, importing. I want to preface by saying importing. So there's a few things you can import. This software is in a way backwards compatible with previous Luminator softwares, such as Luminator Message Writer. I believe there's one other one. I forget what it is. But also like previous versions of IPS. I believe there's maybe like 1 or 2. The only one I really know about is 3. The oldest IPS iteration I know about is 3.1. And I forget which software this is for, but this came with version 3.7, so blah 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 blah. Legacy system as in the Luminator GTI displays, which are like, ooh, GTI. I believe it was a, oh, it's like if you take 2 regular pixels on the Max 3000 and you put 2 of those together. And then you have the 620, which I believe was a 15-character display, very popular on buses in the 80s. So it was like the very first iteration of the Luminator display. But yeah, you could import all that into here. Please note that if you are a real transit service, not even just real transit service, but like one that does real business, you are sort of obligated to follow the ADA. The ADA does have some requirements for how small or how big your text needs to be. Bigger is always better in this case, so you don't have someone come up to you saying, "Oh, I can't read your sign." Most of the fonts and stuff that come with IPS are already ADA compliance. Your graphics might be another issue, but just, yeah, bigger is better. You know, if you work in a big agency, then I would suggest refer to someone who is well versed in the ADA regulations, because I'm sure you've seen people will sue. Yeah, well, I don't know if we'll take 45 minutes, but let's do this. This is the one you'll probably use most often. So, you can import fonts, graphics in the dictionary. Dictionary as in, I guess, like a set of words. Let's say your abbreviation for station is STA. You could do that. Can't do messages, unfortunately. It's only with Message Writer, or yeah, Message Writer. Alrighty, so let's go to Tools, Import IPS Files. You find your source project, which has to be an IPS project. MyTown IPS, that's the dummy one. Open. Let's do fonts. You can import any special font that you made before. I can't scroll because it's a stupid exercise, but if you got really friggin' extra with this, you know, you'd have a billion fonts and you can import all of them. But alas. In the event there are duplicates, it will tell you before you import them in case like you did special modifications. But if there aren't, then you can either replace the font or skip it, and then it'll just won't do anything. Hit OK. Radio, that's strange. Smile. Import. Import complete. Custom dictionary. Yeah, I mean, I think this is for the fancy interior displays because I have never used dictionary, but if you had special abbreviations, that's probably where these would be. Close, and that's kind of it. Let's try this one, I guess. 20 minutes. All right, let's just see what this is about. Edit. Font editor. Font. Bloody blah blah blah. All right. Oh, yeah, this gets nice when you, I want to say when you start creating your own fonts. Like I have a bunch, and I have not followed the system that Luminator's implemented. Like I'll put a 4-stroke font here and a 3-stroke one here, but no, I'm not doing that. Import. Anyway, so following Luminator's naming conventions, this is a single stroke wide font, super duper thin font. It's 10 pixels high. It's been imported. Whatever name you set it up in the previous program, assuming you did it, is what it appears as in here. If you want to change it, you got to go to the other program and change it, or try to rename the file. I wouldn't recommend that though. Bloody blah 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 blah. You can enter your own stuff. You can only. Alright, whatever. So, Luminator. Enter. Pixel size, or excuse me, font size is super duper important. It does freak out when you enter a font size that is ultimately not what's in your FNT file. So hopefully you created your font that you're importing so you don't have this issue, but alright, import. I'm probably going to end this exercise, to be honest. This is kind of not a valuable use of time. Graphics. Alright, now well, I actually didn't know that. So I used to use Luminator Message Writer, which I believe was the predecessor to this program. For older stuff like that, this would come in handy. But even I'm trying to remember, because I used to create like bus logos and stuff in there. I don't know if you have to do all that, but it's very strange that they're asking me to import this, because this is the standard LOD file that you use. Alright, not gonna lie, I'm not doing this. If someone, no, forget it. I'll do it. I'm just gonna rush through it just to show you, just to walk you through it, the steps. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. But This is kind of simple, I would say. You know, you just... Alright, let's... They make you create a new project, but ideally you wouldn't have... Actually, no, you would have to do this to import your project. My God, this program is so extra. Right, you need to have the message class window closed in order to import, otherwise it freaks out. Message writer, GTI message writer. Yeah, this is for the previous generation of signs. This is the first one, I believe. West Point, you'd be looking for a... Ooh, what's the file called? Or what's the file type? CND, I guess. I thought it was something else, but... Shouldn't really have to change this. Okay. Yes. Alright. Once again, so annoying. You can set this whatever you want. I've called mine, for instance, or whatever bus I'm working on for a customer, but... You can change this if you want to, but you can also do it later if you don't want to, like, worry about it right now. This is stuff you would have already set up, assuming you did it before, in the other program, but if not, this will have been done by the previous person. If you have any questions about what any of this means, please feel free to ask. Like I said, I am kind of just rushing through this. I would not... I mean, you can, but I would not recommend this. This is just very cumbersome. Unless you have two displays, then... Alright, let's... Alright, dude, I'm just gonna, like, show you how to do that, because this is not it. Not it at all. Goodbye.